It's 4:30 and it's time for us to start our public open house. The BPW is taking the lead on this, so I took the opportunity to combine Country Club with the turning the corner and doing some water main replacement that is solely a BPW project. So I'll be talking a little bit about what we call the Legion Park project. Excuse me. I haven't talked this much in days. The Legion Park project with the Country Club. In essence, they are two separate projects, but we're going to do them sequentially throughout the summer. A lot of this will be review for the folks that saw the Country Club project presentation last fall. I think the big updates that we'll have is schedule. We did secure the contractor and everything else through there. So I am Mark Gibson from the Holland BPW. Brian White will be speaking for city transportation and the storm sewer improvements coming along the line.
And we have Ryan Ning, who works with me over at the transportation office, and Tricia Dreyer, who's on third floor, City Hall, that handles if there's any joint sanitary sewer things of that nature. Or other permits related to plumbing, if there's water service work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tricia's on it, so we'll get into that more.
So one big question to get out of the way for everybody is assessments. It was discussed at one point in the project.
I got a slide for that.
And at this point, I don't think there's any assessment, so there should be no cost to the homeowners for any of the work we're discussing today. So, Country Club, our project goal is still the same. This pretty much started, the planning for this started when we continued to have water main breaks, particularly around the dive into the creek and around the lift station. I currently have at least 12 recorded repair clamps in this section of water main, which is extremely high. I would not be surprised if we find more when we get in. The goal is to replace that with some new PVC water main, and at the same time replace the force main. It makes sense to, the same vintage, a little different material. We haven't had the same problems, but let's replace everything that could give us problems. So we will do a new water main, new force main. Brian will get into the storm sewer improvements, new pavement, and then repairing the mess that we tear up. Then we can move on. Legion Park. So I added this with the break over the winter. Looking at the scope, since we pushed Country Club into this season, it was not a complete season of work. And then looking at Legion Park, we've had several new breaks, even in the planning stages up there. And so we're going to take the opportunity to kind of turn the corner with the water main replacement and continue trying to get some new utilities in there. We only see water main right now as the current utility work in Legion Park and Birchwood. The sewer is PVC, great condition. I don't have any recorded joint laterals in either of these projects, so we shouldn't have to do any sewer work, and we're not planning on that. We are aware that Brian did some pavement work up there, and we're eating a bit of crow because when that was planned several years ago, we looked at the map and it's like, yeah, we've had to do some repairs up there, but when we look at water main replacement with pavement, it's kind of like a 10 to 15 year cycle, till when Brian will come back and repave the roads. And so we said, this is probably some work that we need to plan out about 10, 15, 20 years from now. And we weren't that lucky. It's continuing to deteriorate faster than we deem acceptable for service conditions.
The quality of the PVC, I went through the stuff, but there's a blue poly, which is a mess.
So
This stuff holds up.
the blue poly is high density polyethylene, and the blue poly that went in the 80s had some problems with the polymers and the stuff that was going on. The vinyl chloride, the polyvinyl chloride for the water main is really close to the same stuff we use for our sewer that's been in the ground for, in some places, 80 years now. And so it's pretty much the same materials. There's a couple different things we do. So yeah, we're not using sewer pipe, but it's pretty much the same materials as sewer that we've had in the ground for 80 years that and other communities too. We traditionally have not used it here in Holland, but it is a lot of what we see up there in the heights is some corrosion with the soils, and so we're going to try some non-corrosive materials for the water main. Yes, very acidic. Yes, very, very acidic. So we're going to replace the water main. We're going to hopefully take up a single lane of pavement, get the water main back in adjacent, immediate right next to it, and we'll see a lot of water service replacements in this area. There's just a handful in Country Club. There's not actually a lot of houses tied directly to the water main in Country Club, but there is a fair amount up in Legion Park. So schedules. Country Club, the current story we're hearing is the contractor will be ready to start in April now. Some of this is still a little flexible because we even get phone calls day to day about what materials are not showing up now, what materials are now showing up earlier. So the current is kind of a generic start date, April, when all the frost is out of the ground. The Country Club scope of work is still about 8 to a couple 3 months of pipe work and such, so that if we start in April, that gets us done in midsummer, and then the same crew will then turn the corner and do the water main around Legion Park. For that schedule, there is you've got the old Country Club housing development, and a lot of folks, we don't want to orphan somebody by closing a bunch of roads.
Yeah, is anyone here from the villas?
The villas. Thank you. Yeah, so the idea is that we're going to get Country Club reopened before Legion Park proper is closed. So we'll start the contractor on pipe work over in Birchwood on the far corner, so that gives the time for Country Club to get fully paved, marked, striped, and reopened to traffic before east-west on Legion Park gets closed for construction. But overall, big idea is, we get Country Club done and then move to Legion Park, and so that you flip-flop on those two sites.
You're not going to be in the intersection with water main, right?
No.
Yeah, you're picking up on Legion
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah, the Legion Park Country Club intersection should remain untouched with both projects, because that work was done when the villas was built several years ago.
Underground, right? There
Yeah.
may be a little bit of work on the actual.
Fiber optics do that thing, or not yet?
So fiber optics, I looked into this. The fiber to home program got city approval. They are targeting 16 months from now to roll that program out, and I think they're saying about a 1 year construction to 1 to 2 year construction phase. So the fiber to home probably won't be ready for really about 2 years from now. But that'll be separate from
You're
us.
talking citywide?
That
Oh,
is
yeah,
a
and
citywide.
There's some approvals, right, that,
Yeah, but the current ballpark that they're looking at is probably a couple years from now, and that,
That's good, so city for the village up through State Street or whatever.
mhm.
Country Club.
Yeah, so right now, fiber does not have plans to do anything with this project in specific, so.
There's nothing there now. I just thought we did that, they had so many different boxes of AT&T stuff
That-
sitting at this village, I thought maybe they got fiber up to that spot, but I don't know, it's not.
Not up to the villas. I believe my lift station does work on the comm system with it, but I do not think it is currently looped through the heights. And so but they're working on all that to get that designed and built in the next couple of years. Some other things for the homeowners. Daily access to your homes throughout the construction. There will be times when we have to work directly in front of your home, so the contractor's supposed to knock on your door, let you know, hey, we got to put water main directly in front of your driveway, so if you need to go somewhere for the next few hours, move your car around the corner. But we do expect homeowners to have morning and night access in and out of their homes. And periodically throughout the day, you just might need to coordinate that with the contractor. If you're got to get out, to say, hey, at like 1 o'clock, I got to get out or such, and that they'll help you figure out where to go and best practices for that. Trash pickup continues as normal. You put your trash can at the end of your driveway, just like normal. If the trash truck cannot get there, we have the contractor pick up your trash can and move it. So please label your trash can with your house number, because when we pick up 10 trash cans and move them to the end of the road and meet the trash truck and bring them back, it's a big game of puzzles and such.
It will not, you're in the district, so that will not be bothering me at all.
No, so the trash trucks, we do expect them to come down and make it into the outlying neighborhoods as normal. So the folks fronting on the construction site, please label your trash cans. It saves everybody a lot of heartache. Mail delivery should remain uninterrupted. We haven't had problems with that. If it does become necessary to move mailboxes and assist with mail delivery, we will work with the residents to let them know and pick a good spot to move all the mailboxes to. But with a job site like this, where we're partially open most of the time, mail delivery has remained uninterrupted. So
Is it a walking route now? Do they walk it? Okay.
And then I think Brian will talk a little bit about the tree removals in a bit when he gets to storm sewer. Water service replacements, if you have so big picture, City of Holland does not have any recorded lead pipe water services. All of ours are galvanized steel, but the fittings on that were lead containing, so the Eagle still classifies them as lead services. So we are, under the new rules of the state, we are required to replace that galvanized service all the way into your home, free of charge. Everybody by now should have received a big envelope from me with agreements and letters and all sorts of paperwork on that, because it is still private property, and so we still need your permission to do it, even though the state is legally requiring me to do it. So I do need that permission slip back from you, along with a way to contact you to coordinate that work. So everybody that's going to get that, they should have received that in the mail. If you got questions, feel free to call me, email me. A lot of that contact info is on the postcards, or it's in this presentation at the end. But there is no charge for this water service replacement. The state does not allow me to make the homeowner pay for it, so it is free. I get that question quite a bit. It's what I am doing in the project is free. So, if you want to take the opportunity to do other service work, at this point, that's we understand it. If you want to replace your sanitary lateral because you have problems, in the City of Holland, sanitary laterals are privately owned all the way from the house to the main. So if you guys do work on those things during the project, I do offer to fix everything in the right-of-way free of charge. That takes care of, and that's one of the reasons Tricia is here, is to help you navigate working on your privately owned lateral. I don't suspect that'll be an issue on this project because everything up there is pretty much PVC, and that's really good for sewer. once it's in the ground, it doesn't really go anywhere. And so we're talking about, normally the BPW owns the piece in this picture that's underneath the car. And we typically replace a lot of that in the road and the right of way during every project. The new lead and copper rule makes me go all the way into the home. And that's typically done with trenchless technology, like a directional drill, and that is pushed in from the road into the house. And then we have a professional plumber do the work internal to the home. So it's a little painful on the residential side, on the homeowner side, because you have to deal with us on several different times when we're accessing the home. When we'll have to get in to put the new water service in, we'll have to get in with the plumber to connect it to the house, and then we'll have to get in to have the city inspect it to make sure that we did not make any mistakes. All steps and process, but it still remains free of charge. You just got to deal with me. Hopefully it's worth it. And we're looking at a lot of, we talk about the water service replacement. It's that part that it does cross your yard. Sprinkling systems, the bane of everybody doing underground construction. We repair the damage we do to sprinkling systems free of charge. We do ask that you flag it because that limits the damage, and it also allows us to perhaps keep it functional. You know, when we hit it, when it's unmarked, we tend to tear out a lot of piping, and then folks have to shut it down, and it's spraying everywhere. If it's marked and it's in the way, we can cut the pipe and cap it, and then you guys can still continue to run your sprinkling system during the project. And then we have professional irrigation service. There's 3 or 4 that we let the contractors pick from, come back and make the repairs. So that is also done by a professional contractor specializing in the work to repair the irrigation systems. And then if you do have your own preferred irrigation company, we can work with them, but there's just some extra steps we got to jump through. In the city, it is technically illegal to pump your groundwater into my sanitary sewer. So if you're currently doing that, and there are spots in the heights because of the clay, it transitions into clay around 8th Street, groundwater problems. If you're currently doing that and we're digging in front of your house, we kindly ask that you let us know so we can connect you to the storm sewer, and we'll work with you to make that happen. So if you do have that, or you do see the need for that coming for your house, you've battled it in the past and do want to get a sump pump installed, you know, talk to us also. We need to make sure that these sump pump connections are properly connected to the storm sewer, because we need to connect them at the catch basins and not in the pipe in the street and such. So we try to get that taken care of in this project so that is a cleaner connection for the homeowner in the future.
Somehow they planted, you know, just, they ended up putting storm sewers in the backyard. Okay, so my storm sewer stuff goes into the
Oh, good.
catch basin into my backyard.
Good.
That goes out to 3 streets.
That works for me.
That does for you.
Brian might have some problems with it, but you're not pumping it to my sewer, so. All right. Mr. White is up with talking about the road.
Great, thanks, Mark. Any other questions utility-wise right at this point? Okay. Utility question or road question? Tree removal, sure.
I'd like to hear about tree removal and replacement for this project. We also own a home on College Ave that a tree removed during the work last year was not replaced on the given schedule.
Got it. Okay, so let me get to College Avenue. We rebuilt College Avenue this past year. We have not yet issued the tree contract for College Avenue. We always do, and we intend to. I actually hope College preferred, as part of 10th Street, that we do springtime planting. And we really don't want to navigate 2 different tree contracts, so we're going to do everything in the spring this year. So College Avenue will get done in the spring. As we do with every project, there are going to be limited, and I do say limited, tree impacts with this project. In fact, I think there's some felled trees by the Lamberts that'll probably be taken care of. That's right just north of Harvard. But outside of that, I don't anticipate a lot with regard to trees. Obviously, Steve, with that easement area, that's an area right by the lift station in the low point of Country Club that there's some impacts there. Other than that, I don't think that we're going to be into trees. Now, the one thing I will say is that we do and we are pretty active on planting trees in the street scape, parkway areas, green space, call it what you will, but basically on the outside of the pavement. Given that this will not be a curb and gutter section, we do have to set those trees off and maintain a certain shy distance away from the edge of the road, just from a safety standpoint. So by all means, for the person interested in the trees and anyone here that's interested in the trees, feel free to reach out to the transportation department and indicate your interest and desire, and we'll work with you on the tree aspect of it. But again, that the tree things happen after the project. It's a separate contract, and we really, particularly with this project wrapping up in August, we're not going to be hoping that the trees make it in the middle of August when there's no rain. So we'll typically wait until the fall to get those put in the ground, or as we're doing with Hope College and all the projects last year, we're going to do that this spring. So hopefully that'll work. But yeah, that's trees. So let me get to the slides here. We've got just a few more. Main attributes of the project outside of what Mark shared with regard to utilities is we want to improve the drainage overall for the project. Obviously improve the condition of the pavement. It's pretty poor right now, and Mark's water main with that blowing up in different spots doesn't help. So yes, new underground utilities, new pavement on top, 20-year life typically is what we anticipate from a brand new road. And so wouldn't expect anything less in this case. So one of the areas that we focused on, and again, this project was initially driven by utility work, but those of you familiar with Country Club, and particularly the west side of Country Club where there's a slope, a pretty severe slope right on the edge of the, on the edge of the pavement. There's a section of guardrail there as well. We've been monitoring that for several years now and doing different things to try and direct water around that area, but it's not in the best of shape. And so this is an area that we're going to improve as part of the project. Yeah, so we've got some slides here that we can look at, and I think the picture is going to do much better than I would trying to describe it. So there are some environmental considerations. We have worked closely with the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, formerly known as the DEQ. So Eagle has worked with us on identifying the design that we're going to go with here, and that I'll show you a couple slides on. The other thing is just road safety in general. Obviously that guardrail is pretty old. Surprisingly though, we haven't done a lot of maintenance work on it, so it hasn't been impacted by wayward vehicles to the extent that you might think. But the design does include some shoulder area, both paved and unpaved shoulder area. This would allow for a vehicle to pull over if it's disabled. Also gives the operator of the vehicle time to recover if they do happen to go off the roadway. And so it just from a safety aspect, it's good all the way around to eliminate that steep slope. So, yes.
I did have a question about, is the guardrail staying?
No, so the intent here is that when we're done, the guardrail goes away. So, yes. I'm sorry?
You're getting rid of the guardrail.
Yes.
You're extending the land further, like a disabled car can sit there off the road.
Yes. Yes.
On the other side of that,
There will be, yes, there'll be a slope. It won't be as steep as it is now. So let's, we'll continue here. So existing conditions, again, that slope we're not quite to it, but on the left side there. There it is. So that's the guardrail and the overgrowth, what have you. So again, where you see that vegetation on the back side of the guardrail, right? It's all just kind of overgrown. So there's going to be a little bit more pavement there than there is now. So the edge of pavement will probably end on the back side of that guardrail post, plus or minus. And then there's going to be another 5 feet of flat earth, and then it'll go down on a 1-on-3 from there.
1-on-3 means what?
So 1 foot vertical change for every 3 feet of horizontal change. So.
Reinforce it, doesn't get washed out.
Yeah, so again, one of the attributes of the project, and again, that's why the drainage is important. So right now, you can kind of see here, there's no drains along the road edge or anything like that. It's kind of, kind of hodgepodge. So what we intend to do, and I think this somewhat show it, but on the edge of the roadway, there's going to be what we call an asphalt valley gutter, but basically it's the thickened edge of asphalt, so it'll keep the water on the edge of the road as opposed to letting it off on the shoulder. And then we're going to have catch basin inlets every 300 plus or minus feet to pick up that water, get it into the drainage system, which will be down the center line of the road, and more of a traditional, if you will, drainage system for the roadway. But you can kind of see there, I will say the one thing that we are not intending to do is that sidewalk. Existing sidewalk will remain, but we are not intending to put sidewalk on the west side of Country Club. So again, we recycled this from the first public meeting. We were still undetermined at that point. Space, real estate, there's just not enough of it there. Particularly with the DEQ wanting us to maintain the ravine that's there now and not fill it in. It really limits us from trying to wedge in a sidewalk on that side and still creating enough of a green space buffer that you can actually plow it and have a space for snow to collect. So that's it with regard to the road. As Mark indicated, and I want to be real clear about this because there's another slide I want to talk about too, is that we're basically putting back what's there now from a road standpoint. So we're not including concrete curb and gutter or anything like that. So with that, we basically will not include any assessments. So this is the cost of the project is not going to be shared, if you will, or assessed out to individual property owners, which is good. The other thing is that the Ottawa County Drain Commission, the Ottawa County Water Resources Department, I apologize for that, they've changed their name. They have received a petition. It's completely unrelated to this project, but you may get mailings and or literature on that project. There's typically public meetings and things like that. At any rate, there's been a petition made to Ottawa County Drain Commission. I did it again, Ottawa County Water Resources Department. And it does involve this area of the Heights. It's still pretty early on in the process, but like I say, you may get contacted in the future. So don't confuse or combine these two things together. They're definitely flying separate. And the city really is not involved with this drain situation, the petition, or how that's carried out. That's strictly through the Water Resources Department. I've included their phone number here, but again, just call them at their main number. That could potentially in the future carry assessments with it, and I'll just defer to them as to how they navigate that and get that public information out there to the group. So again, that correspondence will not come from the city. That'll come from the Ottawa County Water Resources Department. And we really, the city, because we're a property owner in the area, that we own the right of way, We'll receive assessments as well commensurate with the amount of area that we contribute. But again, it's early on in the process, and it'll really be up to the neighborhood as to whether or not that drain petition continues forward. So, any questions on that?
Tree removal on that spot on the west side of Country Club, the huge tree died.
Yep, we're gonna get that.
Okay,
Yep.
was one, 'cause I think that's still private property in Ravine.
It is, yeah, and we're working with the property owners on that. What's that? Yeah, the big one.
Big ugly one, perfect. Isn't that
Right.
big? I used to love looking at it. I kept thinking about Wizard of Oz.
Nice.
Just a perfect little hollow spot, and the whole thing fell.
Yeah. All right, so we're just about done here. Something specific to the slide?
No, to the road.
Yes.
On the west side of Country Club, up towards 8th Street,
Yep.
you're not gonna widen the road at all?
Yeah, the road is gonna be widened by a few feet.
Good, because the garbage cans kind of sit out there.
Yeah,
And if
got
you
it.
get 'em back, that'd be
Yep, so, yep, let me get back to and I think, so this is good to point out, and you can't see the dimensions here, but basically what we're talking about is 10-foot through lanes and 5-foot shoulders. Okay, so 30 feet of pavement. I think right now it varies. I don't think it gets down to 24, I think 26. Don't quote me on that, it's been a few months since we looked at that. But, so it is gonna grow by a few feet. And again, one of the reasons it really has to do that, though, is in order to get that drainage feature in there, get those catch basins in there to pick up the water while it's still on the pavement, you just got to create that space to do that. And we typically, obviously, again, there's benefits there that that'll definitely make the slope stability on this project better. All right, so expectations for construction. Mark alluded to this. I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this. April to midsummer, flagging the sprinklers, mail service will continue, trash cans. Again, this is really just duct tape and a Sharpie with your address number on the can. And that goes for, you all have recycle cans too, right? So yeah, just remember to put them both. Yeah, sure. Yeah, put them on, again, duct tape it, all of them. And I will say this, that don't feel like you need to take them any further than the edge of your driveway, right? Do what you do now, maybe even pull them back a little bit if there's construction right there. If the garbage truck cannot get there, the contractor will get it to the garbage truck. And that typically takes a little bit of coordination. We don't always get that the first round, okay? So if for some reason your garbage cans on the first week in construction do not get collected, contact us, right? Or more importantly, and you'll see that our on-site inspector, and then we can get that garbage truck back. So don't feel like you're missing a whole nother week. We'll get it. We've got it in with the garbage company, so we'll get it. But that sometimes those things happen. We are going to have an on-site inspector from Holland Engineering who will be out there basically every time the contractor's out there, the inspector will be out there. So he's pretty much full-time in the field with the contractor. He's our eyes and ears, and he's also the best point of contact if there's questions, comments, anything like that that you may have specific to the project. We highly encourage you to give the inspector a call. We'll send out mailings, postcards as we did for this public meeting. You'll get one right before construction starts, and that his contact info will be on that mailing. And again, he's going to be the best source of information. He's going to have the most up-to-date info, and I would encourage you to, that's the first point of contact if there's questions. He'll have a Holland Engineering truck, and he'll probably have a safety vest similar to the gentleman in the back there that'll have Holland Engineering on it. The contractor, by the way, is Milbacher Construction I think they're out of Allegan, somewhere south. But I'll tell you, we did good. So Milbacher, you can't do much better than those guys. They're very good, conscientious folks. Yeah, they've done work for us in the past, and I would encourage you too, if you see the guys out there and you're just interested on, hey, when do you think you're going to get to XYZ? You know, talk with them, communicate, doesn't hurt. You know, these guys, yeah, I think they welcome that. They don't want to, you know, they want this to go as smooth as possible, just like everyone else. Just understand, though, that they do have work to be done. That does include pipe replacement in front of your driveways, things like that. So again, the more you communicate, I really think the better it goes all the way around. And these guys are very good at that. Access, as Mark indicated, it's a big key. The one thing I will say, and I don't think we're going to have a lot of this just because we're doing asphalt, curb, and gutter, but cure time on concrete's typically about 3 days. Weather changes that from time to time, but so if there is some sidewalk along your frontage or along your driveway approach that ends up being reworked or redone, we'd ask that you just park on the grade in front of your driveway for those days to allow that concrete to cure. So, and typically they'll do door hangers on that in advance of the concrete work, so that you'll know in advance when that's scheduled. And again, rough frame of duration is about 3 days on the cure time there. Okay, I think we're getting close. All right, so the daily contacts, John Bousfield is his name. He was the inspector for College Avenue for us last year. He is going to be back. He tried to retire. We didn't let him. So, and again, his name will show up on that postcard that you'll get more than likely at the end of March, early April at the latest. And then Eric Thorne, who's not here tonight, Eric will be the main point of contact for our department at City Transportation. So if you call the main number for City Transportation, you say, hey, I've got a question, XYZ. You know, I tried tapping John, no answer. Can you guys tell me, you know, what trees do I have to choose from as far as putting trees back along our frontage?
Not sycamore.
Yes. So then Eric will be the point person on that from the transportation part. Mark from Water Wastewater, BPW, will be the office, but Dave Cyrus will be out in the field a lot with John from BPW Water Wastewater. Let's see. That was long before my time. Yes. Okay. So, questions for the audience, and do we have questions online? Okay. So why don't we hit the online one first?
Speaking of sidewalks, will sidewalks be added to the north side of Legion Park Drive?
Okay. So the question was, are sidewalks going to be added to the north side of Legion Park Drive? And I would say no. The only thing that we're going to do in relation to sidewalks is any kind of repairs that may be needed. I think we're going to do a little realignment on that existing sidewalk on the east side of Country Club. So there are no plans and really that's just water main work that's happening on Legion Park, that there won't be any sidewalk there. So, yes. Let's go to this gentleman in the back first.
Just hours of operation of when
Yep.
construction workers are going to be working on which days?
Yes, okay, so good question. Hours of operation, so the City of Holland's noise ordinance starts at 7 a.m. in the morning. We have had, and this won't happen with this contractor, but some other contractors that maybe aren't as conscientious will fire up diesel engines at 6:45. That's a no-no. We want to hear about that because sleep is important. So 7 a.m. is the earliest that the contractors should be rolling. They can go, and again, there's exemptions for road work, but those are typically fashioned around emergencies. So we typically go 7 to 7, and I think you'll find with this particular contractor it'll be before 7 when they wrap up in the evening, and then depending on how they're doing, they typically work a half-day Saturday, but it's really up to the contractor. We discourage work on Sundays. If you see work on Sundays, there's probably something really bad going on. So we try and, from everyone's aspect, just to take a day of rest there. So yes.
A night or two of night work on the lift station.
Oh, okay. You want to elaborate on that at all, or? Yeah.
When we replaced the force main to the lift station, it's much easier to do that work late at night. So there might be a couple nights when we're working on the lift station specifically, because we can take it out of commission at, say, like midnight, and work on that force main specifically for the lift station. So there might be a few days of real late night work.
Where's the lift station at?
Very bottom of the valley at the creek. So,
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, lift station's a really critical piece of infrastructure, and that thing's gonna be blowing and going during the day,
yeah.
so
But
time to get at that.
at night, it's usually quarter. It's residential. It could be as little as a tenth of the work it does during the day. So it's much easier to take it out of service and work on it late at night. And so there might be a couple late nights of that. That does involve some machinery moving, but once we try to get it done, start it late in the evening, like 10 p.m., and try to get out of there as fast as we can.
Will there be a request to us not to use?
No. Part of that work, staging of that work, is we'll set up temporary pumping or such to handle it, but it's just that will happen late at night.
All right, great. Any other questions? Yes.
The intersection between Legion and, Legion Drive? What is that little box?
Legion and Country Club?
Legion Park and Legion Court. So I think it's Legion Drive that connects to Paw Paw.
Okay, so we want the, Legion Drive and the, Beechwood, actually Legion, whatever that park is.
Birchwood.
Yeah.
Birchwood.
Okay, at that intersection between Legion and Legion, it puddles there and stays there. You've got drainage, it doesn't work.
Got it.
You're working on it anyway.
Yeah.
Effort to get that drain somewhere. You've got the only sidewalk you've got on that side, and it's filled with
Yep.
water after rain.
Yep. So, and I think we got, there were two side streets off Legion Park, and I think we got one of them a few years back. So there's no more puddles on one of them.
Yeah, they almost put that one, right?
We-
That one is supposed to put that one.
Right, and one of them still has one. Yeah. Again, we're not planning to do any infrastructure work on the roadways beyond Country Club. So that being said, I can thank Mark for cracking that can of worms open. And so if there's an opportunity, we'll look at it, but no promises at this point. So, yeah.
We're still designing this part of the project.
Yeah.
Drain somehow. You've got the thing, you've got the storm sewer drain here, and the puddle's over here, and it doesn't get to there.
Yeah, got it,
It's like
got it.
you see the road right.
Yep, and,
That much of a change.
And we'll get an
Put asphalt on,
opportunity.
put the asphalt, it goes to drain.
yeah,
We technically are still designing it. We haven't even
Yeah.
given a set of prints to the contractor yet. So
yeah. So duly noted. How about that? All right, great. Any other questions from there? Yes.
Is the lighting over the roadway changing, or is that gonna stay the same?
Yeah, there are no plans to change the lighting. I'm trying to think how the lighting's set up out there right now, and
with the post for lights.
yeah. Is there a light at Legion Park? I think there is.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Are they yours or the consumers, aren't they for consumers?
These will be ours. Yeah, yep, yep. So, yeah, no plan changes, to the lighting.
Is there concerns about it?
No, just
Too much, too little?
No, just like information.
Yeah, yep.
So the BPW has rolled out, LED streetlights, and we often hear a, complaint that they're too bright. On the paper, they actually have less candle power than the old ones, but they operate at a different wavelength of light, so they appear brighter. It's like the halogen car headlamps. Yeah, everybody's, oh, those are brighter, but they operate at a different wavelength of light, so they perceive it to be brighter. So yes, we hear a bit about street lighting all the time, but the new street lights are actually not necessarily as strong as the old ones. So, any more questions at this point?
Same goes with the utility poles on country clubs that are affected by, or there's some that are in the ravine there.
So the ones in the
Consumers are-
ravine
yeah,
are consumers.
We
So
talked to 'em a lot.
I can't help you out. They're not mine. And as far as consumers staying in one spot where they're at, is that outside the right of way?
I think they're in an easement, yeah.
So that's even harder because they're in an easement. Right away, we could try to get something done, but when they're in the easement, it's almost entirely private situation. It's them dealing with a homeowner at that point. So it's much more difficult at that point. But consumers, the power poles on the west side of Country Club are consumers owned.
I know, you're gonna add an extra 5 feet, that'll be right where those poles are, right?
They're a little farther out than that. I think
It's not just to the south of it.
we could try, help out a little bit. We'll keep this presentation up on YouTube for a while, so you guys feel free to go home, watch it again, share it with neighbors. Email me, call me. We'll try to watch the YouTube chat for additional questions, and feel free to just reach out as much as you can. And that.
Postcards will have your email addresses on here, or
Yes.
something else. It's only got phone numbers on it.
Okay, yeah, so call me. New postcards with the schedule will have an email address also.
Good, and the contact info for the inspector. So, hey, thanks everyone for coming out, I appreciate it.
We do have to wrap up here soon because the city's got to reset their servers and we're going to lose the connection to the internet. We got that email about 10 minutes before we started. So,
I'll get a hold of
all right, we're going to step away from the podium and feel free to grab us one-on-one.